Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It's Tom Brady's birthday.
Wow, 45.
45. Is that right? Yeah, 45.
How about
so
that?
He'll play till when he's 60, probably.
I mean, that's definitely an option.
It certainly is an option.
I don't know if he'll have it. I don't know all that avocado. I don't need avocado. I'll probably die when I'm 20.
Profound statement that it's an option. You don't need avocado.
I don't need avocado. I don't eat anything green. I don't like green foods.
You're a child.
I know.
In so many ways. When was the last time you tried something green?
I had a green bean at Melinda's house.
Melinda's your girlfriend.
Melinda's my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. A couple months ago?
So
last time was
one singular green bean.
Avocados are good. You know, avocado's a fruit.
Didn't know that.
It's a fruit.
Avocados from Mexico.
It's got a big seed in the middle.
Yeah.
Those are Haas avocados that come from Mexico. Anyway, it's Tom Brady's birthday, 45th birthday today.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Yeah, we'll get more on Tom Brady in a minute. Biggest story in, well, I say this, but certainly the most talked about story right now in football past couple days has been Deshaun Watson.
Of course.
And the penalty he was levied by the NFL. It came out like an hour before we went on the air on Monday.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to talk about it. We basically just gave the details of what happened.
Not a lot. A lot happened after we got off the show. When we got on the show, it was really just like, hey,
breaking.
He got a 6-game suspension. Right. That is what it is.
It was just breaking.
Yeah.
You had the thing from Sue Robinson, but it was like a 10, 12-page.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deposition, that's not the right word, but it was an explanation that you needed to go through and stuff. And then yesterday was deadline day, and so, you know, we had that was what was on everyone's mind.
MLB-centric.
And we'll talk more about the deadline later, too. But Deshaun Watson, in case you missed it or have been living under a rock or haven't heard other people talk about it, which would be very difficult to do, especially if you're listening to us, because you probably listen to somebody else, too. Handed a 6-game suspension by an independent arbiter. It was Judge Sue Robinson. Basically what she said is that she sided entirely with the NFL and their case, basically. She said that this what Deshaun Watson did was unprecedented. That was the word she was used, unprecedented. One might assume that would lead to an unprecedented punishment.
Yeah.
However, she said that this is not allowed. You're not allowed to make unprecedented punishments because all of this stuff is collectively bargained. You cannot just willy-nilly make up a new punishment and decide arbitrarily when you're partnered with someone else in your league, the NFLPA in this case. So this suspension is based upon previous suspensions that have been levied, and so she decided on 6 games. I was listening to Mike Florio talk yesterday. He's the host and founder of Pro Football Talk, PFT for short. He also used to be a lawyer, so he's uniquely qualified.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, so he's uniquely qualified in this case, in this particular avenue. And he said yesterday it's, quote, a matter of when, not if, Commissioner Goodell appeals the decision. He gave Ray Rice 2 games, and then the video came out of him on an elevator hitting his girlfriend, and pretty much at that point in time, he decided he would never be too lenient with a player punishment ever again and allow himself to be embarrassed. We are still in that time frame, as it were today. How long was that? 2018? No, it was before that.
It wasn't long ago.
It wasn't that long. So basically, all that is to say we're still in that time period. That's why Zeke Elliott got a 6-game suspension for domestic violence when he was
that was 2014.
Okay, so it was a while ago now. But regardless, almost 10 years ago, but we're still in that time frame. Zeke Elliott got a 6-game suspension for domestic violence. He was never even charged or sued or anything, still got 6-game suspension. Mike Florio went on to say, quote, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a full season. I'm not saying it will be, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised. What do you think when you hear Mike Florio saying he thinks it'll be a full game suspension?
I mean, I think he's right. I mean, with him being a lawyer, he kind of knows how this goes. And we've kind of seen Goodell kind of go a more serious route when it comes to these punishments. I think I heard some reporting yesterday that they are. It's going to get to him, and that they think at the very least he adds like 4 games at the very least.
So that would be 10 total.
So that would be 10.
So here's what. First of all, what Deshaun Watson's camp wanted when they first were meeting and going with the NFL is they wanted 6 to 8 games.
Yeah.
So this is literally the minimum of what they wanted.
Yeah.
So it's the lowest possible, and the NFL wanted a full season. But it's important to note that if Goodell decides to appeal it, he gets to pick whatever length of time he wants. He is basically appealing the ruling to himself as he sees fit. So he is appealing to himself, I guess is the best way to put it. in terms of language, which is very weird, by the way, that they would go to an independent arbiter, and at the end of the day, Goodell can decide, I can just do whatever I want anyway.
Like, why not just let him make the ruling in the first place?
Especially when she says you can't just do that to league partners. Well, he very well could just decide, yes, I can. I'm going to do what I want. Because like she said, when all this stuff is collectively bargained, you can't throw that on your league partner. Well, it's collectively bargained that he gets to do whatever he wants.
That's what I was about to say. Like, I get the argument of, like, maybe the NFLPA didn't want just Goodell making the decision. But
they've been very unhappy with the way he's handled
but then at the end of the day, when he can just appeal it and make the decision himself, it just doesn't. It seems like we're just kind of going in circles.
So in terms of language around the league and in the media regarding all this, first of all, we should point out, as members of the media, which Brian and I are somewhat, certainly this week we are, and next week if you listen to Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. But as members of the media, we are obliged to mention Calvin Ridley, who was suspended for the entire season for placing one $1,500 parlay, even though it's an entirely different situation, not even remotely related to Deshaun Watson's case whatsoever, outside of the fact that they're both suspended football players. But we have to mention it.
Gotta mention it.
It seems like those are the rules.
And we love gambling, so that's another reason why we have to mention it.
More seriously, though, on a more serious note, in terms of how the Browns handled this situation, their statement to me is just poking the bear.
I haven't seen the statement.
The bear being Roger Goodell here. First of all, they use a word. Let me read the quote exactly. We empathize and understand that there have been many individuals triggered throughout this process. Triggered as a choice of language is remarkable to me. I don't think you could have picked a more flippant word for saying what I just couldn't believe that word. First of all, and then they also say in here, there's a quote, we defer to Judge Robinson's objective decision and expect the NFL to do the same thing. Why in the world, when you know that Roger Goodell has the power to appeal it to himself and do whatever he wants, why would you dare him to do it? When he also has been extremely harsh with delivering penalties, you're daring the guy to do it. It just doesn't make any sense. By the way, this is not just from the Browns. It has D and Jimmy Haslam's name on it. It says specifically from them. I just don't understand why they would do that. And lastly here, it says, quote, we know Deshaun is remorseful. What a crock of blank.
I'm sure he is.
First of all, Judge Robinson in her report uses the nicest language possible to call him a liar. Essentially just call him a straight-up liar, and furthermore specifically points out his lack of remorse on the subject, because when she asked him, do you feel bad? Are you going to seek help? He said, I have nothing to seek help for. I didn't do anything wrong. That's specifically not remorseful whatsoever.
Along the way, like, even when he's met with me, and I get it's like meeting with media, but he's never been like super remorseful or anything. It's always just been like, we'll see what happens.
So why say that? Why poke the bear entirely? And then why say he's remorseful when they also know he's not? Is it just something you say?
I think it might be, but also, like, I think you could have gotten through that statement without being like, because it feels like they just kind of threw that in. It feels like you could have gone through the host. Hey, we understand her ruling. We understand what it means. We'll look forward to having them in week 7.
It seems like trolling.
A little bit.
So does he buy? Okay, so he's not remorseful now.
No.
Would he buy himself anything by apologizing or showing remorse? I mean, it's certainly better. It's certainly better than standing on the side of I didn't do anything. This is all ridiculous. Does he buy himself anything with Browns fans that are maybe conflicted?
Maybe with Browns. Because when you're a fan, it's very easy to be like, that's my guy, you know?
Put it aside.
Exactly.
And just cheer for
like, that's my guy.
laundry.
He's sorry for it. Let's put it in the past, and let's go win some games. But also, like, the fact that it's been this long and this much evidence and stuff has come out about it, and he's just been sitting there like, we'll see what happens. It's hard for him to buy anything from me, at least.
Does he buy himself anything with women?
I don't think so.
Foremost with people that accused him, probably not.
So.
Apologizing doesn't do anything.
Also, did I see or hear? Because I haven't really had a lot of time to dig into this stuff.
Dive in,
especially with trade deadline. But
deep dive.
Did I see that they also ruled that now massages have to be something like they have to be with the team or something like that?
So much so, it's specifically in the language of his contract. They're protecting him from women.
That is insane.
And also, the NFL yesterday said that he did this. It just seems like a very strange. So he doesn't buy him really anything with anybody except for maybe Browns fans.
Brownies. I don't know.
In that regard. So 6 games to 12 games. My opinion, Brian's opinion, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. But the statements and sentiments expressed by Deshaun Watson and the Browns and the NFLPA almost seems to me as though they're deliberately trolling people and believe this suspension isn't long enough. And that seems to be totally irresponsible. Furthermore, completely unnecessary, especially considering that one of the people that they're trolling could be the commissioner of the league, who still has every right to this point
gets to make the ruling,
to exercise his power and impose a longer suspension if he so chooses. So that's really all I have about Deshaun Watson. I guess there's more you could go in depth about your personal opinions on the matter. I don't think that really matters as far as I'm concerned.
No.
I just found it very interesting. The other NFL story that broke yesterday has to do with the Miami Dolphins and owner Stephen Ross and Tom Brady and Sean Payton. And this I find very interesting, and I'll get into why here. The NFL has sanctioned now the Dolphins for tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton over the course of 2019 to 2021, the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Or 2 years, I suppose. 3 years. Anyway,
it doesn't matter.
Stephen Ross is suspended through October 17th and fined $1.5 million. He's removed from all his facilities and all of his the groups he works with the NFL. It's like NFL media, gambling group, whatever. He's not allowed to meet with any of those people in any respect until October 17th again. Here's the quote from Roger Goodell. The investigators found tampering violations of unprecedented scope. That seems to be the word of the day. Unprecedented scope and severity. I know of no prior instance of a team violating the prohibition on tampering with both a head coach and star player to the potential detriment of multiple other clubs over a period of several years. Similarly, I know of no prior instance in which ownership was so directly involved in the violations. It is important to note that this all stems from the lawsuit from Brian Flores, where he alleged racist behavior and tanking. The NFL did not find evidence of racist behavior nor tanking. However, Stephen Ross, in terms of the tanking, did, in fact, according to the report, do everything he was accused of. Here's the league findings. But they said he didn't tank, but here's the league findings. On a number of occasions during the 2019 season, Ross expressed his belief that the Dolphins' position in the upcoming 2020 draft take priority over the team's win-loss record. These comments, which he took to be suggestions he lose games, troubled Flores and led him to express his concerns in writing to senior club executives, each of whom assured Flores that everyone, including Ross, supported him. After this, Ross made no such comments to Flores. One such comment is claimed an offer by Ross to pay Flores $100,000 to lose games, as to which there were differing recollections about the wording, timing, and context. However phrased, such a comment was not intended or taken to be a serious offer, nor was the subject pursued in any respect by Ross or anyone else at the club. So basically, he did do it, but he didn't do it.
But he didn't do it.
Which I love the idea of, I know this isn't a court of law, but I love the idea of a court of law saying, well, he was just joking.
Yeah.
And that being a good defense for what happened. It certainly seems like tanking to me if I go back and look at the 2019 schedule, which tanking...
Was that was the 2 a year, wasn't it?
Was that two? No, 2020 was to his first year, wasn't it? This is to his third year. So they were tanking for.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I say. Yes,
that's right. Yeah. So here's when I look at the 2019 schedule. Tanking is used way too much when teams lose by 6 or 3 or 5.
Oh, they're tanking again.
Here's the Dolphins results. Week 1 they lost 59-10 to the Ravens. Week 2 they lost 43-0 to the Patriots. Week 3 they lost 31-6 to the Cowboys. Week 4 they lost 30-10 to the Chargers. Week 6 they only lost 17-16 to the Redskins. Week 7 they lost by 10, 31-21 to the Bills, and then October 28th, Week 8 they lost 27-14. Then they started winning games. Seems by the defiance of Brian Flores to follow the rules here. Here's what's troubling to me, and then I'll get to you, Brian. Here, there was this secret plan to make Brady an owner / player, coached by Sean Payton. It was first reported on February 28th by Mike Florio. We just talked about Miami, Pro Football Talk.
Oh, yeah, Pro Football Talk.
More in-depth reporting came out, and a subsequent story was published in the Boston Globe on April 8th by Ben Volen.
That's what it was.
So that's April 8th and February 28th. How many months ago is that, Brian? 6 months ago, right?
6 months, yeah.
6 months
I remember us
plus.
talking about it when it came out.
6 months plus. So when Schefter and Rappaport report that Brady was retiring, this was always wrong. It was never true. He was saying goodbye to Tampa only in that statement. That's why he didn't mention. Remember, everyone talked. He didn't mention Boston.
Yeah.
He didn't mention Boston because he wasn't retiring. That's why he never used the term retire. It was a very clear, deliberate choice of words. So yesterday, the NFL confirmed all of this, that Sean Payton and Tom Brady were set to coach, play for, and partly own the Miami Dolphins, all nuked on the same day it was set to be announced by a alleged racism and tanking lawsuit against ownership levied by Brian Flores. And we still aren't talking about it. If you watch ESPN, if you watch NFL Network, none of this is being talked about. How is this not the biggest story in sports?
Huge.
It's insane. These things came out 6 months ago. No one's talking about it. It hasn't been talked about for 6 months. Why is it?
I really don't know, because
is that not, like,
it's remarkable to think that
the best
team,
quarterback, the best
maybe
coach
ever,
outside of the division.
Exactly. And they had it all set up for it to happen until just like that, it was all taken away.
It's unbelievable. And there's a bunch. We'll get into the reasons why.
Well, the fact that in you even, like, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that Tom Brady put out that retirement statement and didn't even say retire and only thanked the Bucks and didn't, it was all like this question mark. Why is he doing this? Why is he not doing this?
Why is he not talking about Boston?
But then the story kept going. It turned into, well, maybe he's just not sure. He's not sure if he's really retiring.
Schefter and Rappaport announced his retirement, and he said that's not true.
Yeah.
Then he released this statement, and everyone was like, why did he say that? He's totally vindicated now.
Oh, that's right, because it became a story, and then he was like, I'm not actually retiring. And everybody was
he
like,
said it explicitly.
And then he put out the tweet, and everybody was like, oh, Tom Brady's retiring, it's over. And then like a week later, it was like, oh, Tom Brady's back.
The narrative in the media is still that Brady retired, like still
that's
today.
So crazy.
And then up and just decided he was going to come back, and it's not even true. He settled.
It was always going to be he was going to play next year. It was just he was going to be with the Dolphins, and then all of this happened. He was like, well, I'm not going to retire, so I guess I'll just go back to the Bucks.
He ended up settling.
That's
when he
crazy.
took $375 million from Fox to broadcast because he was going to be an owner of an NFL franchise along with Stephen Ross. Again, I don't understand how this isn't being talked about as the biggest story. It should have been talked about when this, however, 11-page report from Ben Volen in the Boston Globe.
Which was like 7 months ago.
And Mike Florio said it on February 28th, reported it first. It's Tom Brady. It's not like it's just like it's a Dolphin story. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is
Tom Brady and Sean Payton coming together on the same team. I just don't understand why it's not everywhere.
I remember you coming in, kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit. I remember you coming in and adamantly waving a stapled group of papers together and going, this is the biggest story maybe ever in the National Football League. We have to talk about this. It was in the Boston Globe, and then it kind of just got swept under the rug.
No one's talking about it.
And nobody's talking about it.
I have a theory as to what Mike Florio does as well. Listen to Mike Florio yesterday. Obviously, he has some bias because he reported it first.
Right.
It's his story. Along with Ben Volen. Ben Volen's thing is,
that was
11
fantastic.
pages long. It's awesome. You should go read it. We should somehow tweet that out. I don't know if we have authority to do that. Anyway, I listened to Mike Florio yesterday. He has some bias. It's his story. He believes that the NFL Network and ESPN won't talk about this and haven't talked about it over the last 6 months because their guys didn't report it. It's not their story. They, in fact, reported something totally contrary to that.
Completely different.
And when pressed on it, defended their reporting. Still yet to take it back. So it could be that.
That's fair.
What do you think about that hypothesis from Florio? It could be that.
I mean, I think it could
be. Do you
be.
have another hypothesis you can think of as to why it wouldn't be talked about by these networks?
No, not really. I like that one. I mean, I really haven't thought about hypothesis of why it's all kind of hitting me right now.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot with it.
I do like that because I feel like, and I can't think of it exactly, I feel like something similar happened in another sport where something like some people were reporting something, ESPN was reporting something different, and then ESPN was wrong, and they were like never like we were wrong. It was just like they just tried to like play it off like it's fine.
Well, it just happened with something with the NBA. What was that?
I can't remember.
But it was George Sedano on TV had to apologize, right? I can't remember what it was.
But it was something.
The reporting that I saw this morning on First Take and Get Up, and then I'm watching NFL Network. First of all, the reporting on First Take and Get Up is all about tanking. Is this tanking?
Oh, it's all about
Should it be
tanking.
a lot loud? That's not even the story here. That Tom Brady and Sean Payton were going to be on the same team. Owning
and
the
that
team.
was all being planned behind the scenes.
And the NFL Network, to their credit, did talk about like the details of what came out for a short second. Like Ian Rappaport and other reporters are on there. But they're at training camp this week.
Yeah.
So that was like a 30-second, 1-minute blurb at most, maybe 2 minutes, and then right back to training camp. What do we think about the quarterback battle in New Orleans right now? Nonsensical. Maybe here's another hypothesis. Maybe they're being told not to talk about it by league partners. This is certainly something that's a bad look for the league, tanking and not only tanking, but the felonious behavior of tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. Although I'd imagine tampering happens all the time.
All the time.
This just came to light because of this lawsuit in particular, and it doesn't always involve names of this magnitude, Sean Payton and Tom Brady. Another one, ESPN has a documentary series about the life and career of Tom Brady, don't they, on ESPN Plus? It's like Tom Brady. I can't remember what it's called, but they have that. And Schefter, this is the last one I could think of when I was just trying to think of possible reasons as to why. Schefter's a Michigan man. Perhaps Stephen Ross is a Michigan man. Tom Brady obviously went to Michigan. He is the voice for a lot of news. Maybe he doesn't want to rattle feathers. He could sit on the story, but I don't know about that. So in conclusion here, regardless of the prospect of Tom Brady and Sean Payton in the same division as Bill Belichick, while also being part owners of a franchise, it's not only unprecedented, it's stranger than fiction. The secret plan has been reported on extensively and readily available to the public and the media for upwards of 6 months. And after being confirmed by the league yesterday, there's no reason that this isn't a bigger story, the biggest story in sports even, receiving something equating to wall-to-wall coverage. It's embarrassing that instead, this is the biggest story in sports that nobody knows about.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet. I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around, Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Attention homeowners, energy efficiency regulations are changing in 2023. New heating and cooling systems may rise drastically in price. If your HVAC system is old or inefficient, now is the time to buy from Conway Services with outstanding financing options and savings up to $2,600. Conway Services is ready to save you money and give you comfort. Call 384-3511 or visit conwayservices.net to schedule your appointment today. License number 64210, 64365, EAS MS 19668.
You don't have to be up at sunrise to enjoy sunrise. Now, there are plenty of people that get up at the crack of dawn and head to Sunrise on Jefferson, but then there are some of us that would just as soon sleep in. That's where lunch at Sunrise comes in. Fresh, fast lunch served by people that genuinely care about your happiness. Great burgers, sandwiches, salads with sides like tater tots, and sweet potato fries, and fried green tomatoes. And on the plus side, you get to confuse people by saying you're having lunch at Sunrise.
Hey Mid-South, the end of summer is almost here. Kids are getting ready for the new school year, but I'll be left behind unless I get my rear in gear. Colin Johnston here from DeSoto Auto Sales, and I need your old ride. So if you bring your keys in, I'll help you end the season on a high note. You could get up to $4,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value for your old ride. So don't spend another minute in a car you hate. Trade up when you trade it in today. Even if you've had credit problems in the past, my For the People credit approval process works. So if driving your current car is getting old, bring your keys in and you could get the deal of the season. Up to $4,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value for your old ride. But hurry, offer ends at my end of season Keys In sales event. I'm Colin Johnston, your dealer for the people. See all the cars at DeSotoAutosales.com. That's DESOTO autosales.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Negative equity may be refinanced. Trade-in condition determines actual trade allowance. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of the Kelley Blue Book Company Incorporated, which is not affiliated with DeSoto Auto Sales. Offer absolutely ends on August 31st, 2022.
8 years. Do you want to send the current district attorney back for 8 years with her record? Amy Wyrick has the worst prosecutorial record in the state. She cheats to win by hiding evidence and can't be trusted. Attorney Steve Mulroy will fight to end disparities and bias in the Shelby County criminal justice system. He will prioritize violent crimes and work to secure justice for the victim. Vote Steve Mulroy for district attorney. Paid for by People for Fairness and Justice PAC and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Lonely feeling deep inside. Find a corner where I can hide.
Jojo Romero has become a meme.
What?
Have you not?
Is it the Red Bull thing?
Yeah, but it was used yesterday for Corey Dickerson.
Really?
Because I saw it was some tweet like Corey Dickerson leading the Cardinals to the playoffs, and then it's the meme of JoJo Romero.
That's
so
hilarious.
I guess we could use that for anytime anyone's going to do anything.
JoJo Romero.
JoJo Romero.
I can't wait. I wonder when he makes his Redbirds debut. Can't wait.
Birds.
They're in. I don't know where they're at right now. They're on the road this week, I think.
Oh, not in AZP.
Mm-mm.
That's AutoZone Park.
Yeah.
AZP. Anyway, we'll talk more about baseball in a second here with the trade deadline finishing up. But first, I noticed this, and I feel like this is my angry old man show because I just railed against everybody for not talking about Brady and Sean Payton, and now I'm going to rail against Grizzlies blog. I'm not going to say who said it, and I'm not going to say the name of the blog because that just adds fuel to the fire a little bit. But it's if you're on Grizzlies Twitter, it's readily available. You've probably already seen it at this point. It's a Brandon Clark extension piece. And
Ooh.
I rail against Grizzlies blogs a lot and the bloggers and how active they are on Twitter and how active they are with basketball analysis. I find it all troubling, and maybe it's me being arrogant and sitting on my high horse and on my pedestal looking down on the peasants, and maybe that makes me
basketball expert.
Maybe that makes me look bad, but I ended up reading this yesterday because I wanted to be a little bit more informed about what I was railing against specifically. So this Brandon Clark extension piece, it was really just an Adderall-fueled nightmare. It was just a cacophony of statistics used to defend, quite frankly, ignorant basketball analysis. Like it was nonsensical. Like they would use stats that were real and they got from like Synergy or whatever other places you get advanced basketball metrics. And then it would just be used to back up things that just didn't make any sense and had no place in reality. One part was about how Clark and Jaren were the perfect match for modern basketball heaven.
What?
I don't get it. Because Jaren is on the perimeter and Brandon Clark can be inside, but their sizes are mismatched there. And Call me wrong. I think Porzingis is better than Jaren, and I personally like Dwight Powell better than Brandon Clark. I love Brandon Clark. Nothing against Brandon Clark. But that didn't work at all, so much so they had to trade Porzingis away, the better player of the two, skill-wise, in order to make a team, put a team together that actually functioned as a whole. So that was weird. And then another quote right after that was switch and take on perimeter assignments. They both can switch and take on perimeter assignments as devastatingly as they protect the rim. Ridiculous. And then they goes, well, if you look at these statistics, they 54% of the time they do this and 62% of the time they do this, but your premise is totally flawed. It was ridiculous. Like modern principles and small ball and all these things that they didn't even have a good grasp of was the theme of the whole thing. It's clear to me this guy doesn't even know what he means in particular. Obviously, you have to provide some sort of content for this blog, so I'm not suggesting that you write nothing. That would be ridiculous. I'm not suggesting even that you tweet nothing when you're trying to get yourself out there on Twitter. That's how it works. But just maybe take a step back for a minute and take a minute to confront your own ignorance, which is really something that everybody has to do. Every college athlete, every professional athlete, when they get to college, when they get to pros, every coach, even if it's a manager or a video coordinator when they get to the NBA, everyone is confronted with that ignorance. So my advice would be to take a step back, confront that ignorance, so then you can know what you don't know. Clearly, expertise is what this guy seeks because he just wrote 2,000 words going in-depth on a subject he really has no grasp of. That would be my advice sitting here. That got me fired up yesterday, Brian.
Got you very fired up.
So much so that I wanted to spend 5 minutes at the beginning of the second segment railing against it.
You can use stats to back up any argument.
I'm really just advertising it, though, aren't I? But I didn't say his name,
say who it was,
and I didn't say the blog.
Publication,
but pretty much anybody that has spent any time over the course of the last 24 hours know who it is and know what blog I'm talking about. Anyway, back to baseball. Brian, Jojo Romero, I said, is a meme. Yesterday was deadline day.
Love deadline day.
Let's start with not the Cardinals because we'll talk a little in depth about the Cardinals here. Juan Soto to the Padres for a bunch of different things. The funny thing is
prospects.
Eric Hosmer holding it up for a while, not letting us go straight clause.
Like, I do not want to go to Washington.
Whose agent was also Scott Boras.
Shocker.
I'm surprised he actually didn't try and negotiate himself some money in that. Maybe you can't do that. I don't know how that works. I'm not a business guy.
Well, nothing's past him, so.
I hate Scott Boras. But your thoughts on that trade, Brian, are what?
I mean, of course, I was saying from the jump, I thought San Diego had the best pieces to get for him.
Dodgers came in as a late running,
Dodgers came in
past the Cardinals, maybe.
I think so. But I think we talked about it Monday where you made the great point of the Padres are going to be super, super aggressive because of what the Dodgers did last year. And so I think because there were still some prospects that I know had been floated out there as guys that they could send for Juan Soto that they didn't end up sending. I'm thinking that no matter what, they were going to give up everything they had to give up in order to get Juan Soto.
Maybe the Cardinals made it a little bit easier on them.
Yeah, probably.
But before we get to that, do the Padres, this is the big debate on the internet yesterday, is does this trade, when you look at all of the firepower that the Padres have now, they do have a good pitching staff as well, do they pass the Dodgers?
In terms of this year?
Are you more impressed with the Padres lineup than the Dodgers? I mean, the Dodgers have the best lineup in baseball.
Yeah, I'd say it's very close. I still probably give the Dodgers the edge.
They're 7, 8, 9 guys. Are most teams 1, 2, 3
exactly.
guys.
I think from top to bottom, the Dodgers are just unreal.
They got guys on the bench that would be a 3-hole hitter on a lot of teams.
So, yeah, I think they still have the edge, but I'm certainly impressed with what the Padres have done. I think they're going to be a really, really good team. I don't know how much it helps this year, just because of where they're at. It's going to be hard to get kind of to all the way to the World Series this year. But I think next year, the year after, do you think this turns into a long-term deal for Juan Soto in San Diego? I've heard a lot of people talking about that, and I just don't. I don't know if
I don't know the money aspect. I mean, I would give that guy whatever he wants.
I would too. Particular. I just don't know. I don't know if he would want to stay in San Diego, and I don't know if San Diego would really throw all that money out.
I also don't know if San Diego has the money in. Not arbitration, arbitration the next 2 years to keep him around. And if that factors in their decision, if you can keep him around for 2 years and have this as your window, then you might have a decision to make. Well, no, because you have Machado wrapped up for a long time. You have
Tatis is about to get wrapped up for a long time.
Tatis wrapped up unless they decide not to and decide to go Soto route instead. But Tatis is also a generational player.
Exactly.
I've seen videos of Tatis's brother too, and that guy.
Really? How old is he?
I don't know, but Fernando Tatis Sr., former Cardinal, has always
and wanted Fernando to be a Cardinal,
but has always said that his younger son
was the best.
Way better.
Oh, wow.
And I saw this guy hit a tank in wherever they're from. I can't remember. Not Venezuela. Is that where they're from?
They're from Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So I guess it was somewhere in the Dominican Republic he was hitting.
They are.
Also, the Dodgers yesterday got Joey Gallo, who is abysmal.
Okay, cool.
Their rationale publicly was that it could help another one of their struggling players if they can't figure it out. Yeah, just plug in that 111 hitter and he'll fix that gap for you, I suppose. To the Cardinals, who missed out on Juan Soto, they did make a deal yesterday, getting Jordan Montgomery for Harrison Bader at the deadline. That's now 2 pitchers along with Jose Quintana. Your feelings on that today are what?
I mean, I like it. I obviously we've talked about it all year that they need more starting pitchers. So I like that
to
they
go
got,
for it this year, which is, I mean,
not gonna happen.
But that was my whole thing with Juan Soto. Is like, what are we going for this year anyway?
Yeah. But also,
I guess you have the best defense in baseball.
Yeah,
you run the bases the best,
which is gonna help both of those pitchers
and
a
your
lot,
top 10 in
especially
scoring.
Quintana. Yeah.
So I guess you could theoretically go for it. The Braves were not really contending at this point in time, but I'm not sure Jose Quintana. Even though he's been good this year and I like him, Jordan Montgomery has really struggled lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I'm hoping maybe a new team, new kind of new feel around everything could maybe give him a boost. But obviously he's not going to be your 1 or your 2. He'll probably be a 3 maybe, since we want to keep Adam Wainwright as the number 1 starter, which is ridiculous. But
well, that's irrelevant at this point.
I know, but still, it still makes me mad when everybody's, oh, Adam Wainwright's on the mound today. Lock it up as a win.
It's really the sentiment of the public that still thinks Adam Wainwright is. Well, to their credit, he was great last year.
He's fantastic.
And no one
great
that.
Career, and he was awesome last year. Just hadn't been great this year. Hate to say it.
I'm assuming you're very happy they kept Jordan Walker.
Sure. I mean, I love Jordan Walker. I think he's going to be a great player.
Jim Bowden said he would not include him in any trades because he's a future superstar in the league. He should be untouchable.
I can see that. He's fantastic. They moved him to outfield last night. I think he started in left field last night, which is where he's going to have to play at the big lead if they still have Arenado at third. Can't put him at third. Same thing they did with Gorman. But the thing about he was horrible defensively.
But if Walker could feel his position,
catch a cold.
If Walker could feel the position in the infield better than Gorman could, that would be positive.
Yeah. But I feel like he could translate more into a corner outfielder better than he could at a middle infield spot, personally. And I say that I've seen like 3 games of him, but I just feel like what I have seen, I think he can translate more to a corner outfield.
Defensively, is he?
He's better than Gorman defensively.
Is he the one that threw the 104 mile an hour?
That's Mason Wynn.
Oh, that's Mason Wynn. At the Futures game, right?
About the same age? Yeah, that was at the Futures game. He's really good. He was a guy that I think they got fairly late. I don't think he was a super high draft pick, but as a lot of people like him, a lot of people see a lot of promise out of him. So he's pretty good. But I think with this trade not going through, Jordan Walker will be in Memphis by the end of this month, maybe.
Why?
He's been hitting the ball incredibly well in Springfield. I think they could just move him up and try him at the corner outfield spot
and give him
see
a
what
test
happens.
Of hitting against AAA pitchers.
I saw somewhere.
Is that a big enough gap? I guess you and I aren't the people to talk about in terms of what the gap is between.
So
I know, going from high A to Double A is a comparison they make.
Yeah.
They move those guys up if they're hitting well in high A.
Yeah.
You just don't see it a ton from Double A to Triple A.
But so when Nolan Gorman was brought up from Double A to Triple A, he struggled. I mean, he had an awful first month. And then after that, he was completely fine. I mean, it was once he got that first ball over, it was no stopping him.
Smooth sailing.
Exactly. So I don't know if that could be the same thing with Jordan Walker, but I saw I think it was on the St. Louis Post-Dispatch yesterday when I was looking around kind of reading all these deadline stuff.
Fine publication.
And someone said, I can't remember, I don't remember exactly who it was, said that he could be a guy that they try out with the Cardinals at a corner infield spot in spring training next year. And if that's true, they need to get him up to AAA at the end of the month.
Well, it also all depends on Arenado whether he sticks around or not, because he has that option to opt out after this year. Who knows if Soto not being traded for, how that factors into the decision. It might not factor in at all. Mm-hmm. Maybe all of this, will he opt in, will he not, is nonsensical anyway. There's really no reporting on whether or not he will or not as of right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's just we got to keep him happy. We got to keep him happy. We got to keep him happy. Might finish top 5 in NL MVP voting this year behind
Paul Goldschmidt.
And also Austin Riley, who we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on the reports that Dylan Carlson
center fielder of the future?
So they didn't want to include Dylan Carlson with prospects. They felt that he was too valuable to include with prospects. It was going to be him and maybe like another AAA Major League guy, or it was going to be this haul of prospects.
Yeah.
What is your sentiment on those reporting? You say also what John Mozeliak said as well that you told me earlier.
So I was reading Katie Wu, who we've talked about a couple times the past couple days.
And he can also frame this however he
wants.
Right,
he can frame it however he wants. So supposedly, Mozeliak met with the media yesterday after trade deadline, and it was asked, why what was holding that deal up between you and Washington? It looked like there was a lot of, it was going in the right direction earlier last week. Then it just kind of all fell apart. And he said, and they asked specifically about Dylan Carlson. He said Dylan Carlson was not the reason. He said, I've seen a lot of people on social media kind of go after Dylan Carlson, saying that he's the reason Soto isn't in St. Louis.
Going after
he
him,
is not the reason that trade wasn't made. Well, then the Nationals came out and said, or a source within the Nationals came out and said they really, really wanted Carlson.
And it's important to note, all this reporting is very flimsy at best.
It's
We're
very,
not privy to these discussions.
At the moment, at the end of trade deadline, all of this came out at the same time. So a source was like, they really, really wanted Carlson, and St. Louis would not give Carlson up. And then it was reported in the same story, just later in the story, that this weekend in Washington, I think after Saturday's game, Mozeliak went into the clubhouse, went up to Carlson and said, we are not trading you. So it seems like Mozeliak is all in on Dylan Carlson.
So you could frame it, I suppose, that it wasn't because of Dylan Carlson that the trade didn't go through. It could have been they were unwilling to provide Jordan Walker, so that could be that. But also, they clearly did. It seems there's enough reports out there that I feel confident saying they clearly wanted Dylan Carlson.
Well, and then trading Bader. Completely locks up the center field spot for Carlson.
Maybe they were always looking at trading Bader anyway, and that's another reason why they couldn't give up Dylan Carlson.
I wonder also if they saw something they didn't like in this injury. Maybe not, because I don't think the Yankees.
Well, and also, to be quite frank, flash in the pan season last year and hitting well. He has been an abysmal hitter.
Great defense.
He's
fantastic
always been a good
defensive,
defender.
Yeah.
He's always
but
been
it was
a Gold
last
Glove
year
guy.
that he really
out of nowhere this guy starts hitting. That is not. I have a hard time feeling that's sustainable, but I wish Bader the best of luck. He was really good last year, and I like him as a player as well. Before we go here, last baseball thing, Hall of Fame announcer Vin Scully passed away yesterday.
Terrible.
Legendary Dodgers announcer, really aged incredibly gracefully in a business that's difficult to age gracefully in. The only guy I can compare him to in terms of guys I'll listen to that are older now and still age and do a really good job is Bob Uecker who, for the Brewers, who's an older broadcaster, been doing it for a long time, a legend, and still sounds just as spry and is just as entertaining as ever, especially when you compare that to like Mike Shannon, who did not age well for the Cardinals and was drunk by the fourth inning. Maybe that's reckless speculation. And then also Vern Lundquist. It's not really not, though. He was. And then Vern Lundquist, who also really didn't age too gracefully in football. So Vin Scully, a legend of the game, passes away yesterday. Very sad. To leave us on this note before we go to break, I wanted to play a sound from 2016 of a story he told on the Dan Le Batard show. Again, Vin Scully passes away. This is him talking about one of his most embarrassing moments on the radio.
Oh, yeah, sure. I guess they're over the years you would have to be. And basically the most, and I think you'll get the picture immediately, back about my third year, about 1952, the Dodgers were playing Cincinnati, and Cincinnati had an outfielder named Lloyd Merriman. I'll never forget it. And Lloyd hit a ball foul. And my mind told me to say, hot shot, hit, foul.
No,
and it never came out that way. and everybody in the booth fell down, and I was absolutely mortified. And the reason I remember Lloyd Merriman, I started filling. He's a former Marine Air Corps pilot, saw combat in Korea. I did on and on. That really, that had to be, considering how young I was, that was about it.
You have opinions?
Uh-huh.
Of course you do. Everyone does. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line. 360-8255. 360-8255.
It's time for another season of golf at Miramichi. You know the spot, 15 minutes north of downtown in Woodstock. I call it heaven. It's 330 acres of natural beauty, 7,400 yards of championship-level golf, but there are several different tee boxes which make it fun or competitive for every level of golf. And the practice facilities are as good as any country club, and every round of golf comes with a cart and complimentary range balls. You can really improve your game, and you'll love the prices, too. Seniors can play Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for as low as $33. Again, the golf cart and the range balls are thrown in. The standard weekday rates are as low as $44. Friday, it's $50, and on Sunday, it's $55. You'll love the view from the terrace. You look out and see the best view in all of Shelby County. The whole experience, it's just fantastic. Go check it out yourself at Miramichi. The summer clearance sale is happening now at Family Leisure. You can get up to $2,000 off on a swimming pool. Yes, you heard me. $2,000 off on swimming pools. Get it installed in 2022. You'll be ready for summer 2023. Plus, if you are more of a do-it-yourselfer, Family Leisure has specials that are just too good to pass up, with free ladder upgrades and a whole season worth of chemicals. No one else can offer that kind of deal. Looking for patio furniture? In-stock sets are up to 30% off. Play gyms and trampolines, you can get up to $1,000 off with free installation. We don't know how long these hot temperatures will last, but we do know these prices will not. So take advantage of the summer clearance sale. It's happening right now at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Wooden Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles, ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
I'm Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, and I have to really congratulate you, Mallory, who is also with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, for using his hunting skills when it comes to finding homes for his clients.
Thanks, Sheldon. Yes, I get them into their hunting gear by getting them pre-qualified with a local lender. Then we stalk the prey. We go on the hunt into the multiple listing service, as well as other internet sites that other hunters, other agents, don't use. And once we find what we're hunting, we make the offer to beat other agents out there in the field.
Hugh, that's all well and good. But what do you do once you get the house?
Well, we can't very well mount it on the wall, but our clients will be living in their dream home while everyone else is still hunting.
Remember, while you, Mallory, moves Memphis at 497-9756, when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Do it now. memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Belly Acres' motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. Two great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday, 11A to 9P. Friday and Saturday, 11A to 10P. Regalia, Sunday through Thursday, 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Dare Ya or the Double Dare Ya, and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Belly Acres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Belly Acres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Belly Acres.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
The Who.
That's right. Take the words out of my mouth. Only got about a minute here till we gotta get out of here. I saw something on Pro Football Focus yesterday, not about the story we talked about earlier, but the Dolphins, the bold predictions for the Dolphins.
The Fins.
The three, Miami leads the NFL in yak.
Oh, wow.
O-line ranks top half in the NFL. Melvin Ingram leads the team in sacks.
Wow.
You think anyone
Big
cares
year
about that?
for Miami now.
Big year. No. AFC East preview yesterday. They'll probably do more as the week goes on here. What trades did I miss? What did we not talk about?
In Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
Did we talk about Odorizzi for going to the Braves?
We talked about that 2 days ago, didn't we?
No, well, it only happened.
We talked about that yesterday.
I don't know if we missed any deadline trades that really happened yesterday. There wasn't much after the Soto deal in terms of like big names. There were some small ones, but nothing huge.
Nothing too big. Last and certainly not least, the PGA Tour 23-23 schedule came out. Guys, that we talk about tomorrow with PGA Tour starting. And that's about it.
It's a hot summer's day. You just finished cutting the lawn.